morning, everyone. I'm Luke.
And I'm Mark, and we're coming here live from the Bungie studios. Yeah.
It is, if you've been on the internet the last few days, it is the leakiest ship on the internet.
It's true.
So what we've got today, we've got a cool show lined up for you. Behind us, you can see Dado getting ready, Dado, Ben, and Catherine. We're going to talk about Destiny 2 Shadowkeep, which is the next chapter coming out this fall. But first, let's take a look at it.
Looking to the future always brings us back to the past. Can you feel them? I can still hear their voices. Their endless torment reshapes our moon. Nightmares now stalk the surface. Walking shadows, seeking vengeance. Our old fears, they rise again. And in the dark below, something wicked has awakened. We must bring an end to this suffering. One way or another.
So the question on everyone's mind since Bungie's gone truly independent and is in complete control of Destiny's future, we're publishing the game now, we're an independent company, is now what? What's the plan? Where are we headed?
So the way that we talk about where we're headed is like the way we've talked about over the years is what's the vision for what we're trying to do. And so the vision for Destiny going forward, the Destiny franchise, is contained in like 3 parts. The first part is being an awesome action MMO. And
yeah, we've been worried about that term for a long time. We've shied away from using
MMO.
that. Yeah, because it comes with a lot of baggage. It's like, does that mean it's a subscription game, or you got to play with a mouse and keyboard, or whatever? But like, man, this is one of those things. We're on our own now, and it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a duck. Like we can accept the fact that this is what the game is.
There's like duck emojis out in the chat right now. But like when we say MMO, we don't mean like subscriptions. We don't mean subscriptions. We do mean 2 things. The first part where we're lacking right now, and we've been getting better, Forsaken certainly adds to it, is improving the RPG.
Yeah, we really want deeper build customization for our players and for your characters. You're creating these monster killing machines and you want to make them your own, and we can do a lot more there.
And so a bunch of what we're doing this fall is going to be about adding the stats back into the game, RPGing the game more than it was. And D2 launched away, Forsaken improved it, and we think Shadowkeep's going to take that kind of to the next level. The second part about what we mean when we say RPG is really important to us. It's about improving social. Like, this is a place where it can be hard to find grouping, it can be hard to make friends in Destiny, and what we've been saying for years, as we've been like dodging the MMO term, is like it's a game best played with your friends. And so this is one of the things that on the long horizon of the Destiny franchise, like, we have to improve the social game.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment to say, this isn't changing anything about the core action game of Destiny. Like, it is so fun and amazing to shoot monsters in their heads, get headshots, and see their souls escaping their body, and you slip behind cover. Like, at its core, Destiny is an action game. But we're also not afraid to say it's an action MMO, and that's where we're headed. We're taking steps there this year.
And so part 1 of the vision, awesome action MMO. Part 2 of the vision for Destiny going forward is a single evolving world. And we have been close to the mark in some ways and far off in others. The way we've been close is stuff like what happened in Forsaken, when Raid Team goes into the Dreaming City, they kill Riven, and they launch this Dreaming City cycle that like transforms the world. And we think that's awesome, and we want to do more things like that.
When the community gets to come together and discover secrets and solve problems and push the world forward and push that narrative forward, that's when the game really feels like it's not a game, but a real world.
Yeah, for people who don't know some of where I came from, in my time in WoW, the Scarab Lord Gates opening event was this moment that brought these huge communities together.
I've never heard of that.
It became this awesome event, and I think the potential of what we're trying to do with Destiny is create moments like that create bonds between players and let players work together to change the world. The third part of the vision here is play it anywhere.
Yeah, we want you to be able to play Destiny anytime, anywhere with your friends. And we're definitely going to take steps here this year. And the first one.
Well, I don't know which first you want to do. Like, we're just coming off of the Stadia announcement, which is our partnership with Google.
Yeah. So with Stadia, Destiny 2 is coming to Stadia this year, which is going to be awesome because it means you're going to be able to play Destiny anywhere you have a Chrome browser with their controller, and that's going to be just incredible for our community. You're not going to have to lug your PS4 home to your mom's place at Christmas anymore. In case Zura's selling One-Eyed Mask or whatever. That's not a promise.
You know who's been talking about this all the time? It's like Scott Taylor, constantly talking about where he's going to play. Can't wait to play on my. He just lists a litany of devices that he wants to play. He wants to play Destiny on. And
that story's just cracked wide open with Stadia. So we're super excited about that because it lets you literally play anywhere.
So it's a great fit for the vision. And then the next thing, do you want to just jump? We have our set list that we're moving through. And so the next thing on the list, there's been a little bit of talk about over the last 24 hours. Maybe you want to talk about cross-save.
So yeah, cross-save is coming to Destiny 2 finally. And we're super excited about that. What cross-save is, it is about taking Guardians that you've created and being able to play them on any platform. And we are super excited about that. And we know fans have been asking for a long time. And contrary to maybe what you've heard on the internet, because I just want to be super clear about this, cross-save is coming to all platforms, all of them, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Stadia. And
there's some
people clapping in the studio.
That is, we do not have an applause light. That's just the enthusiasm of the team.
So we're super excited about that. And Bungie and Sony are working together to ensure that cross-save is coming to PS4 when Shadowkeep launches.
For years, we would go to do interviews with companies. We'd dodge this question so many times about which platform do you play on? Which platform should you play on?
Wherever your friends are.
Our answer has always been we're gonna message back to the best place to play Destiny is where your friends are. But cross-save makes that statement actually true because you can go from PC to PS4 and wherever you want to play the game, wherever your group's rating is where you can play.
So you've probably seen reports on the internet, and that may be different to this. There's a reason we do these shows live. So
it's for the really awkward.
Yeah.
It's for us stammering back and forth. So the next thing on our list here, do you want to talk? Let's talk about a new entry point.
When we think of anytime, anywhere, that third part of the vision, cross-save, Stadia, those are parts of it, but we have some real barriers to making that totally true and really making that a reality. When Forsaken came out last year, for instance, look in the first-party stores. There's 9 different versions of the game. You need some kind of decoder ring to figure out what you're supposed to purchase. It's just way too confusing to figure out what you're supposed to buy.
So our answer to this big problem is, what if we just create a free entry point for the game and create a brand new way for players to, a brand new-ish way for players to enter the universe. But there's still this problem of, oh gosh, I've got 40 hours of game to play. I've got to get through these campaigns, which are cool, but that's not really the part of the game that matters if you're playing for hardcore reasons.
In the Season of Opulence, Menagerie just came out. It's a 6-player match-made activity. It's awesome. I love playing it. But if I'm going to recommend it to a friend who's not playing Destiny, it's you got to buy this version of the game, then you buy this other version of the game, then you got to play all that. And I'm not going to play with you because you're doing old stuff. And so it's going to take, it becomes hard to recommend. So we need to fix that.
So the answer to this problem is New Light, where once you enter New Light, in 10, 15, 20 minutes, you now arrive at the part of the game that matters to you and your friends, where you're jumping into Gambit, Crucible, etc. This is about crushing the barriers between friends and making it a game where you're there's something awesome happening in Destiny. I'm going to go check it out. And New Light's totally free.
It's free. You download New Light, create this character. Within 15 minutes, you're playing Gambit with your bros or running around the EDZ and discovering lost sectors. You're having a really fun time.
So the other part of this, this handshake, is the way we're thinking about selling the game differently now. We have, for years, had this compounding purchase model, even something like the annual pass, which I think we've learned a bunch from, and we have plans for how we're going to iterate on it over time. It meant that up front you had to spend $35 rather than maybe purchasing things a la carte. And that strategy is a strategy that we're changing now that we're in control.
Yeah, if you think of New Light like a baseline, we're thinking of our content kind of atomic packages that go on top of that. So Destiny 2 Shadowkeep is completely standalone. It's an expansion pack, and it's standalone. It's an expandalone, I guess is what you would call it.
You don't need to play Forsaken. You don't need to play Curse of Osiris, Warmind. You don't have to play Drifter, none of it.
You buy it and you jump right in. But, we want to do that with seasons too. And so going forward, our seasons, you're going to be able to jump in and have a great free experience, and that's awesome. But if you want that, access to some of the premium content, you can jump in and buy that season, season 8 separately from season 9.
Yep. So another part that we have had trouble with over the years is answering questions around things like exclusive content. We have had exclusive activities, exclusive weapons, things like this, and those things violate kind of that second part of the vision, which is that single evolving world. So going forward and beginning this fall,
single community of players where everyone can be together, but you're like, well, let's play this strike. Oh, sorry, I don't have that strike on my box.
So we want to remove those barriers. And now going forward, there's going to be no more exclusive activity content, no exclusive gameplay things like exotic weapons. We're not doing any of that stuff going forward.
Yeah. So there's one more thing that I'm going to share before we're done is that this year, Destiny 2 on PC needs to find a new home.
Some would say we need to find an epic partner.
Yeah, and so we need to find a new home, and because we're self-publishing Destiny now, and we're truly on our own. And so Destiny 2 is going to be coming to Steam. And this means that anyone currently playing Destiny 2, they're going to be able to come over to Steam, free of charge. They're going to continue their accounts. They're going to continue all their possessions going to move over. Any licenses they had, any DLC, like whatever, it all comes over. And Shadowkeep, the D2 expansion that's coming out this fall, is going to be shipping exclusively on Steam this year.
It's kind of like when you relocate for a job and they relocate you and like a van shows up at your house and loads all your stuff in and then takes it and you show up at your new house and it's all there, but this time we're going to unpack it and move you over to Steam.
How exactly this is all going to happen, there's going to be a website on BungieNet somewhere that describes it in more detail, but we want the transition to be really seamless for players and a really good experience.
So a thing that we want to try to do to wrap all of this up is do the Instagram cut down version of everything we just talked about in 20 seconds. So the vision for Destiny going forward is pretty simple. It's an awesome action MMO in a single evolving world that you can play anywhere. By playing anywhere, that means cross-save across all of our platforms. We have a new platform that we're adding this year, Stadia. We have a new entry point for the game called Destiny 2 New Light, which is free. And everything we add to the game is going to be purchased a la carte going forward. So Shadowkeep, Season 8. Let's say in Season 8 we start to lay the foundation for some changes we want to make to PvP, but it doesn't tempt you to come back yet. Well, maybe in Season 9 we'll have something that's going to make you want to come back for sure. No more exclusives going forward for us in terms of gameplay and armor and weapons, and if you're playing the game on PC, we're moving you to Steam. That's kind of that's the end of the set list. The encore, if we're carrying the music thing forward, is this awesome?
I think it's more than an encore.
Sure, yeah. Actually, we are we're the opening act.
Yeah, they've been watching two dudes talk to you for 12 minutes or whatever.
So the main event is coming up. Dato's behind us getting ready. But first, let's take a look at a new Vidoc called Out of the Shadows.
This really is the beginning of a new era, and I think beginning is an important part of that sentence.
This is the first time I think that, in a long time that Bungie has stood kind of on its own.
And we're self-publishing. It's a really big deal. There's a huge opportunity here for us to really make our own decisions.
It's a turning point for us.
We are in charge of our own destiny.
It's empowering and terrifying at the same time.
There are only two groups who are going to decide what happens to Destiny next: Bungie and the players who play Destiny. So at its core, Shadowkeep is about returning to the moon.
We haven't been in the moon in a while, since Destiny 1, and a lot's changed.
When you go back, it isn't exactly what you thought it was.
There's huge cracks ripped into it. There's a weird scarlet fortress. And so the context of the moon has been updated entirely.
This isn't just about the hive anymore. It's about something else, something terrifying.
The moon this time around is something really scary that is playing on your fear in a way that hasn't happened before. Before it was, oh, it's a big giant thing and it's scary, but now there's actual, like, some psychological elements to that.
How long has it sat in silence, watching us?
Much too long.
Having Eris Morn come back instantly signals to players the tone shift and change.
There's an undertone of threatening and psychological horror.
You're all insufferable!
We want to tap into what makes Guardians afraid. What are their worst fears?
Shadowkeep refers to the things that Eris unleashed on the solar system. Nightmares are manifestations of a Guardian's past.
What if the villains that you thought were well into the ground actually weren't, and they were being resurrected by the darkness?
Eris is trying to figure out how she unleashed this kind of madness, and so she needs your help. You can't just kill them and make them go away.
What if you can't do all of the things that you've grown accustomed to doing?
Being unable to achieve what you're trying to achieve, no matter how hard you try.
Players, they think we can deal with this. We killed Crota, like we killed Oryx. Like, no big deal, right? Well, you're going to get there and you discover it's a bigger deal than you even thought it could be.
The darkness is actually a lot closer than you realized.
Now you know my suffering.
It's been a year, basically, of just a constant two-way dialogue with all of our passionate players.
Under it or on the sides of it more? The number of green...
That's really informed what it is that players want out of the Destiny game and how we're evolving, not just the story of the world, but what happens to you as a Guardian.
Like the thing that was supposed to blow you back or whatever, it's related to acceleration.
A bunch of the work that we're doing is about adding depth to the character sheet. You know, the teams are thinking about how do we want to evolve armor, get more stats into the game, get more player customization. How can we get the depth of pursuit for how you want to play with this awesome character you've been building now for, you know, some of us 5 years.
And like completely new ways of deepening the like character RPG that we all know and love and want to be better.
In Shadowkeep, we are fundamentally evolving the systems and moving the world forward.
You want to bring some of that sci-fi element back to it, where it's like,
some like panels or something.
We've been dancing this line between them, like, are we RPG enough? Are we not RPG enough? And now we're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go all in and just say, like, hey, let's give players what they want. Allow them to kind of like customize the players and their habits and their game modes and all that stuff as much as they want to.
So in Shadowkeep, what we're doing is changing the way that armor, perks, and mods work pretty significantly.
Right now in the game, if you have an armor set that you like the look of, but you have another armor set that you like the way it plays, you're probably going to pick the one that you like the way it plays.
Armor 2.0 is focused on allowing you to take the mods that you've unlocked and apply them to any given piece of armor.
When I move my cursor over one of these mod sockets, it immediately shows me all of the mods that are available to me.
Personally, I'm excited about the artifact. Players just get to kind of like fidget with these knobs and switches and do all the things that they want to do.
When you get to this last tier, each of these perks gets relatively close to what an exotic might feel like. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Finishing moves are a new thing for Shadowkeep. What's your favorite?
I mean, there's some crazy ones.
For the hunter, this awesome flourish where he actually does like spin in front of him, has two knives, and then just hits.
I was like, what the heck? Like, what game is this?
Yeah, Titan finisher. He jumps in the air, pulls back, looks at his fist, and it's kind of like the dunk. There's so many different ways to dunk. You can behind the back, 360, cartwheel, whatever.
We're in the playtest lab every day, trying to figure out what's good for the game, what do people want, what have they been asking for, trying new ideas.
So I want to try, I had a radar hiding.
Let me know how it feels to get shot by the heavy bow. I am working on an exotic heavy bow, and I'm just working on figuring out some knockback, trying to see how big this, okay, that's probably too much, but you get the idea. This is an exotic trace rifle. Fire it on an enemy and it creates a big old crit spot. Here's a hand cannon that Victor's working on. It fires special ammo, and it's a little bit like a one-handed sniper.
Like, it's actually our only hand cannon with a scope on it. Right now, it kind of lights you on fire if you keep firing it too much. We'll see. Some people like it, some people are kind of but we'll hammer it all out.
All right, it's time. It's about to get loud in here. 1v1. 1v1 on the board. Oh!
One of the things we really want to focus on, especially with Season 8 and the start of Shadowkeep, is a renewed focus on PvP.
You're all on the other team.
We're updating labs to include some much-loved game types from the past. We're also redoing a bunch of the playlists and how they work. But the really important thing for players to know is this is just the beginning. This is us building the foundation of what we're doing with the Crucible going forward.
Previously, you would have a 20, 40, 60-hour climb before you could do what's considered in-game content. And now you can pretty much do that immediately.
We want you to feel like you are in the end game from the moment you step on the planet.
Leveling up your Guardian and becoming more powerful, overcoming dungeons, overcoming raids.
For the raid, we had multiple destinations that we were considering, and Black Garden was like immediately top of the list.
And everyone was like, yes, and I was like, yes, that's the one I wanted.
With Forsaken, we've started finding more ways for players to customize and personalize their character and differentiate themselves. Shadowkeep's going to push even further in that direction.
The word, which is really guiding us in a bunch of ways, is depth. It's about experiential depth. When we look at how we're thinking about the next 3-5 years, it's really important to us.
It's cool to have a game that you can invest in with your friends, tweak your monster killing machine and make it 2% better every weekend, doing different things and figuring out how to craft this perfect build that you feel like is your own. Like, that is cool. There's nothing nerdy about it. We're like happy to own that. We're going to stand on that corner.
As things change, if the game doesn't feel like it's changing to meet the new landscape, it just all fall down. Part of our DNA is finding different ways to bring people together. We needed a way to crush the barriers between friends.
We all have friends who could play Destiny, who are interested in it, but then we think about recommending it, like, oh man, you're gonna have to play about 40 hours by yourself, and then you gotta pay all this money, and maybe you should just play something else. And that can't be the story. We need an entry point for your friends to be able to get into Destiny.
This is just simply about bringing people together to make it easy for players to enter this universe.
There's a new entry point coming out in September called New Light, and New Light is a free-to-download experience.
We're going to start off in the same place where Guardians first came into the world.
Guardian. Guardian? Eyes up, Guardian. It worked. You're alive.
You started in the Cosmodrome.
You're going back.
Going back. Yeah, blast from the past.
Okay, it's not going to break orbit, but it just might get us to the city.
It's as easy as come in, make a character, play the amazing introduction to the game. and then land in the tower.
And then we'll set them loose to open up the world as they see fit.
And have sort of an array of potential in front of you.
You can just start playing the game and get into some of the same activities that your friends might be playing. The campaigns from D to Year 1, the Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind.
Every world we have will be available for them to explore and to free roam and to do bounties on. Every cooperative strike, whether they're playing with friends or matchmaking, every competitive multiplayer map.
The D2 Year 1 raids like Leviathan.
Full access to Gambit, the hybrid mode that we have. All these things are available to them for nothing.
We've always said that Destiny is best when you play it with your friends, and we're trying to make it easier. So if your friends who are playing Destiny are on different platforms, we're adding cross-saves so that you can move between the different platforms and play wherever your friends are.
Like if I'm playing and I want to move over to my PC, I should have my character go with me. We want Destiny to meet you wherever you want to play, so that's incredibly important for us.
We wanted cross-save before we shipped Destiny 2, right? Like a bunch of it was built. We just couldn't get there for capital R reasons. And many of those reasons have disappeared. So we are headed full steam ahead on that. And we got to figure out how we're going to get there and how we're going to give the players what they want.
As culture as we can get.
Thanks, buddy. Our original vision for Destiny was a world that would evolve and change.
We're leaning really hard into that because we believe that's where the future of Destiny is.
The long horizon for Destiny is to become an evolving world. You know, you're going to tune in to see what's going to happen next.
We can completely build Destiny in the vision that we want it to be in. A vision that isn't dictated by a commercial model or a business plan, but our creative vision and what we want to do for our players and what they want us to do with Destiny.
I feel like our work isn't done. We have a series of missions that we need to finish before I think we have Destiny in the place that it needs to be, and we're back to, I guess, finish the fight, so to speak.
Welcome, gamers, to the Q&A portion of the stream. Someone's very enthusiastic back there. There we go, there's a bunch more enthusiasm. Welcome to the Q&A portion of the stream. If you know who I am, you're probably pretty familiar with me doing Q&A stuff. If you don't know who I am, I'm here to embarrass myself in front of thousands of people for the second time in a week. And I'm also your personal Destiny search engine. Most people just call me Dado. I have a lot of these, by the way. I don't think I have time to read all of them. I'm here. That was really, really loud. I'm here with Ben and Catherine, and we're going to talk. A little story action for Shadowkeep.
Great.
And the first thing I'm going to start with is Eris evil? Because she kind of seemed evil, but at the same time, like not evil, like sort of in a driftery way.
So
Talk to me.
Eris is definitely not your sterling like character like Zavala or Cora. She's more complicated. She's been through a lot. She's this enigmatic, like mysterious character with tons of power. It's always on the edge of every new threat that's coming. And so she's decidedly not evil. I can say that pretty firmly. And what she is the one who's going to take us into a new threat and a new place that we have to actually investigate. Because she's come back. She's been gone for a long time. And there's been a lot of parts of the Eris story that we've gotten hints at. You know, we've seen lore books. We've gotten, like, seen what she did after the tower blew up. We knew that she went off. We know that she's worked with Marisov for a long time. And well, all those journeys that she's done have brought her back to the moon. A moon that we thought we had, like, left behind, that we had killed the threats there. Well, she's discovered something even darker in the dark below.
The dark below. I see what you did there.
Trying.
Dark below.
Dark below.
Didn't drop my pen. Speaking of Marisov and all that, I'll pose this question to you. Is this connected to any of the events of Forsaken? Is this connected tomorrow? Are we going to see any sort of link between the two?
We aren't talking about Mara specifically in Shadowkeep.
Okay.
This is an Eris story, but like, what we're doing here is we like the Dreaming City was a really fun like way of exploring like the deep lore of Destiny, right? Like we had Truth to Power, and we had all the curse weeks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I was
the
definitely
Marasov vignettes.
Marasov vignette. So this is like we want to do that, but like for Eris, right?
Right.
Like we want to just go in there and be like, there's so much stuff. Like you said, she's a super enigmatic character. Like she could totally appear to be evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like she uses the powers of darkness and sources all her magic from the hive.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
why? Like what is all that?
Yeah, and she's doing it to protect humanity. That is like her mission that she's had for a long time. And if you think back, Eris's entire journey, what happened to her? Her fire team was like slaughtered by Crota, and she barely survived and had to transform herself. And she crawled back to like rally people to destroy this threat that would have consumed the last city and all of the rest of humanity. And then she saw Oryx was coming too, and she worked with all these forces that players and everyone else in the city had no idea were even around to try to stop it. You know, she does things that no one else can. And she's doing that one more time.
Well, she's persevering a lot. I feel like eventually just like, get over it. Like, fire team's dead, but you know, we got Crota, right? Like, give it up, lady. But
I think that's like not fair entirely, maybe because
no,
like,
I know. I'm just messing around.
Yeah.
Just to go back to Forsaken real quick. Are we getting any hints of like what's going on with Uldren and Marasov? Like Uldren, we kind of got like a cutscene, and then it's like, all right, that's it. And then there's no resolution on that at all.
I would love to sit here and talk about Uldren. That's a conversation for another time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to turn back to Eris on the moon because I'm just super excited by what we're actually going to expose. It's not just what Eris is doing there right now. It's not just about this new threat. It's not just about nightmares, which are now infesting our moon. It's about the history there, and it's about what's changed since you were last there. The moon that we remember from people who played Destiny 1, a lot has happened since were last there.
Well, that was actually one of my next questions is how is the moon different compared to Destiny 1 now? Because we had the Hellmouth, and that was, pretty intricate design for the hive and everything. How is that changing in Shadowkeep? Because a lot of people are going to say, we've already been to the moon. Like,
well, it's twice as big as the moon you remember.
Yeah.
Twice as big.
Twice as big. And as you might see, there's a giant red citadel now.
Yeah.
Looming threats. And there's mysterious entities, nightmares that are pushing out everywhere. There's also smaller stories that have been uncovered because of all of this chaos and happening in that place. The Fallen have a new place that they've set up, and they have their own reasons for doing that. The cracks of divided places you've been before, and they're going to change how you play and you sparrow and move through them. And you're going to discover old stories from who knows how long ago with characters that you remember, and they're going to expose more of what actually is coming in the future.
Are we going to see any potential new characters popping in?
Characters? Well, there's one of my favorite characters. I'm not going to say it though because it's spoilers.
Okay, fine.
I'm not going to tell you that.
That's fine.
There's a ton of what this character does, and I read through all the scripts and I thought it was really awesome.
Okay, then all right. Consider me intrigued. I guess one of the final questions I have is why this storyline as opposed to any other storyline that you guys might have considered? So
we have internally, Bungie is a lot like the players in that we're always talking about Destiny as fans, because we are fans of our own game. We're fans first of Destiny, and Moon is a fan favorite inside the studio. And so it always comes up, okay, well, when are we going back to the moon? What about the moon? We just don't go there anymore. We should go back. What's been happening on the moon? Wait, is that on the moon? And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It turns into this fervor and excitement that, okay, we're going back to the moon. How do we make that work?
Right.
And the thing about every Destiny destination is you play through what we can release and what we can show and the stories that we have, but there's always more. There's always another horizon or another deep depth or another entire region that is not yet explored. And I consider every place we go in Destiny to have more stories that we're just waiting for us to find the right time to tell.
Absolutely.
The moon has some great stories.
Yeah, I will have some follow-up questions related to story stuff later in the show. But that is just something I kind of wanted to know, like, you know, why this one? Were you guys working on maybe other storylines that maybe just didn't work out, or you want to, let's save that for later, or like, maybe we scrap that all together, or was it just like, this is happening, like, we want to go to the moon next, like, let's do it?
It's mostly that.
Yeah,
I think
the passion comes first.
The passion comes first. Okay. I think we're constantly thinking, like, as he said, we're all players of this game, and we're all like, oh man, yeah, what is happening on the moon, and what is happening to all these stories that we've been exploring for a while, and like, you know, it's just something. It's whatever is most exciting to us at any given time.
Yeah, and I think it's a relatable feeling that we're going after too. I mean, the moon is a place that was very dear to a lot of players' hearts, but it's also new to a lot of other players, and so like. I consider it like you take your best friend back to your hometown. You haven't been there in 5 years, and it's changed. Like what has been torn down, what new is there, what still remains. You're going to explore it. And you'll be like, oh, my favorite Chinese place is gone, and now it's an organic grocery store. No, I'm going to go buy all the lettuce. You know, like, you're going to have. There's going to be these moments where you're going to rediscover everything, and it's going to have meaning for you, and then it's going to have meaning for your friend in different ways.
And I think it's also really exciting on top of New Light too, right? Because like the moon was like the big destination in old D1, and you're just like, okay, yes, we're going there, or I'm going to bring all my friends there. Like, I can bring anyone there.
I was even calling New Light First Light for a while, and First Light was the big moon map.
Right, exactly.
Even, so,
You may get a little look at First Light. Just a little bit when you're running around the moon.
Yeah. Oh, I look forward to it.
Big nostalgia factor.
All right. Do you guys have anything else to add before we transition here?
One thing, like when you talk about Marasov, the thing that I really loved about Dreaming City as someone who played it at home was going to the vignettes and every few weeks. And we really loved how that was a new piece of Destiny, like this Dreaming City cycle type of thing, and how you play it. And we're trying to instill those lessons into Shadowkeep as well.
Gotcha.
So look for cool lore drops like that over time, similarly to Dreaming City.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys very, very much for joining me.
Thanks.
I'm going to rotate you guys out for some new guys. And don't forget to take your mug.
Yep.
Oh.
Otherwise, I get yelled at.
My mug, you can't have.
All right, fair enough. Next to the stage, we have Justin and Del. Welcome. Welcome. You guys, I have to grill you guys a little bit more than the story guys. The story guys is like, yeah, let's have a fun little intro. But now we're getting into systems and the seasons and that kind of stuff, the real nitty gritty. So I got to grill you guys a little bit more. So let's start with Sandbox. Sandbox changes have been limited to approximately once per season. To many people, they think these need to happen a little more frequently. Are there any plans to change that? And are there any barriers to more frequent updates?
Well, we made the commitment to do a change every season to really look at the sandbox and how it was playing, and so we're going to keep that. Like we think that's a good cadence every season. There's like some big update to the sandbox and how it's playing, make you rethink how you're building your monster killing machine.
Okay.
The real hard part is it takes time to do those balance updates. Like we have to look at data, the team has to get into play tests, we're looking at the community feedback, we're like trying to isolate how we balance it, and it's in a game like Destiny, it's big, so it's not just like balance it for one activity, it's like how do we balance it in strikes, what's the impact over here? And so it takes time, and whenever we're taking time doing that, we're not building content. And so it's just a hard balance for us to find like, hey, what's the right amount of focusing on balancing and tuning, what's the right amount about making new rewards and pursuits, and adding the depth that we talked about earlier. Like, we want to update some of the systems, and we want to like make the game more interesting and like add more challenge in the game. How do we do that? It's hard to balance those.
Okay, that's fair. Another kind of big topic question. Are there any plans to completely separate PvE and PvP balancing? I know you guys are capable of adjusting the damage of weapons in PvE. Do you feel like there's a need for that separation? Is there a reason why you haven't? I imagine if there is not going to be a separation, it's probably related to the same reasons you guys have been giving in the past. Your thoughts?
So a thing that we've always thought was super important for Destiny is that you have a single Guardian with a single kit and set of abilities that you can take everywhere. We give you a bunch of different experience, whether it's like raid experiences or strike experiences or PvP, or just more casual like free roam, and that you're the same Guardian playing in the same way. And a thing that I think we do pretty well is our our shooting and our like gunplay feels good. And part of the reason why it feels good is that muscle memory of like just the same expectation of seamlessly going from your brain into the controller, like into the bullet. And that requires a level of consistency across the board. That doesn't mean that shooting a Thrall in the head is going to take the exact same number of bullets as shooting a Guardian in the head. There is some variance that we bake in and some balancing that we do, but we don't want to split them, because we think if we do that over time, it's going to cause us to lose that muscle memory and that feeling of a single Guardian.
Yeah. We want you to go into any activity and like, I'm playing Crucible and then I get a gun and kind of wonder like, well, what does this do when I take in the strikes? And they're not going to be optimized for every activity.
Right.
Even today, we do balance separate parts of the game differently. We want you to build a loadout that's customized to the challenges you're trying to tackle, but we also don't want to go so far that you feel like, oh, I'm just never going to participate in that part of the game. It's not worth it.
Okay. I'll take it easy on you guys on the next question.
No, keep going hard.
Keep going.
Well, let's get a little business out of the way.
Right.
Is Forsaken and the annual pass getting a price drop? Do I need them to play Shadowkeep?
Yeah, so what we're doing starting today is that everything that we've released in Destiny 2 up until now, so base Destiny 2 game, the expansions, Forsaken, and the annual pass, that's all being bundled together and dropped to just $40.
Okay.
So, and that's starting today. But we don't want to require any of that content to play new stuff. Like Luke and Mark said earlier, we want all of our expansions moving forward to be simple and a la carte. So if you like the stuff that we're showing off in Shadowkeep, you can just go and click purchase. You don't have to do the complicated thing like, wait, which pieces of the content do I own and which of these 11 SKUs should I buy?
Right.
And it's the same thing for recommending to your friend. Regardless of how much Destiny they've played, what they own, it's all the same entry point, which is just picking up Shadowkeep for $35.
Shadowkeep's $35. So we're keeping sort of that seasonal pace of content. Is that a la carte going to also apply to seasons?
Yeah, so we want the seasons to be a la carte because there were a lot of things that I liked personally about the annual pass, but asking people to pre-purchase $35 up front of a year of content when we didn't even announce what the name of some of the seasons were, I think is not as cool as it could be. Like it's better if you can wait and once you watch the trailer, once you hop in and see some of the content yourself, then decide if you want to buy in. And so each of the seasons will be available. But we also want to make sure if you jump into Shadowkeep, we're not immediately putting our hand back out asking for more money. So Shadowkeep is going to give you season 8 or whatever season it is starting then. For free as part of that.
So if I buy Shadowkeep in like January and it's season 10 or whatever, I would get season 10 as well.
Yeah, you'll just get that season.
Yep.
So you don't have to do the complicated question of like which part of this premium content like do I need to buy? You just jump into Shadowkeep and you're gonna have everything.
Or you could just decide to get season 10.
Yep.
Okay. I guess that kind of covers that question. Let's go to another kind of hardball.
All right.
The community kind of laments the loss of things like new strikes, new PvP maps, and otherwise new additions to what they would consider staples of the Destiny experience. How valuable do you think those things are compared to making new activities? And are we ever going to see stuff like strikes, new PvP maps, and that kind of stuff return outside of major expansions like this?
They're super valuable. I mean, you see it with New Light, like they're going to be the entry point that we want to get all players into and playing together. So they're really important for us, and the team has big lists of things that they want to do. We've tried some of it in the past, like for season 6, we did a lot of Gambit quality of life updates, and there was new maps for it. It's just, again, the challenge with a game this wide is we can't do that all the time. And so we're definitely focusing like season 8. We're coming back to the Crucible. Like we know we've spent too long, like we haven't done enough for it. We had a lot of commitments with Annual Pass 1, but now we're coming back. And I think we might not answer all the ritual game in any single season, but over the course of a year, we're probably going to touch a lot of different parts of the game.
Right. I hear you guys, I can hear you through Twitch chat screaming, ask about PvP. The question, I got it. It's here. It's for a different person, but it's here. Don't worry. I got you guys.
Yeah, and another thing I want to say there is like we tried to change up the formula with Annual Pass and with the seasonal model over the last year, where if you remember before when we did DLCs, we would put a little bit of every single type of content into each one of the drops, but then that meant the whole team was working for months or years on just that, and there would be a long drought of content. And what we're trying to do now is every couple weeks, every single month, we're releasing something and keeping the world continuously evolving, but that means that we can't release everything at the same time. And so we've tried to revolve around and touch different parts of the content, but Yeah, and for example, like I think we underserved PvP in the last year. That was a mistake with how we planned out the annual pass, and we're going to correct that starting in season 8, and then we want to walk around and touch all the other pieces of content.
Yeah. So would you say that there is a chance that we'll see like a new strike throughout the year with the seasons? Like, I don't think
certainly possible. Like we haven't planned out exactly what's in each one of our seasons, but no type of content is off the table. I mean, like I kind of want to throw it back to you. Like, what do you think the seasons are missing right now?
Yeah, I mean, again, it just kind of comes back to a lot of those staples of the Destiny experience. The game has grown very wide and just not very tall, which is something you guys are addressing in Shadowkeep. So I think the community would definitely like to see, you know, some strikes come back, a couple PvP maps, even like remastering some Destiny 1 maps, right? Bring back, you know, Rusted Lands and whatever else people want, Twilight Gap and all that. So I think people would absolutely love to see that.
Yeah.
I guess final question for you guys. Do you worry about being able to produce the volume of content you produced this year without the help of Activision and the other studios? Because the community is insatiable. You'll never be able to make enough stuff to keep people entertained. And
yeah, I mean,
how do you guys feel about that?
Working with Activision, they were great partners. Vicarious Visions, High Moon Studios, they've made a ton of the cool content and Forsaken in the annual pass that I'm really impressed by. A thing that we did though was we knew that this was going to end at the end of the annual pass. So what we've been working on for the last year is reconfiguring the team to make sure that we're in a place where the set of content expectations that we've set for players, we can continue delivering on every single season. So I feel confident that we can keep delivering a season's worth of content that Destiny players have come to expect every single season moving forward when it's just us.
Yep. And then the hard thing, just like the original question about PvP balancing, is whenever we make new activity content, we're not being able to do the thing you just asked about, of like, well, how about servicing the existing stuff? And for a game that big, so
always
it's
a
real
trade-off.
hard to like. And this is the challenge. We haven't figured out the right balance for it. We're going to keep working on it, but it's going to be a question of like, what's the cool new adventures? What's the cool new ways that are going to challenge your monster kill machine every season? But how are we updating the rest of the game to also feed in and challenge give you new challenges for your character? But we have to do that in a way that also is healthy and sustainable for our team. Like, it's real hard servicing a game this big at this cadence. And so, but Destiny's going to be around for a long time. We want this team to be excited, to be able to build all that content, come in with fresh ideas, and really be able to tackle some of these big challenges and make the best experiences. So that's a hard balance.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, we have mailing lists inside the studio where people talk about, because with this many people, not everybody knows everything that's going on. And so people are asking, like, hey, is there going to be a strike in the new release? Are you going to go do this quality of life update? Like, we all want to touch all the parts of Destiny as fast as we can, but we also don't want to ask the team to work every single weekend. Like, we want sensible, healthy, excited folks in the office, and we're always trying to hold that line, because there's always more stuff to do than we have time for, right?
Right. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add before we transition here?
No.
All good? All right. Well, thank you guys very much for joining me.
Thanks.
Had to grill you guys a little bit more.
Oh, it's good.
And we're going to rotate here to two new guests, Koa and Raylene.
What's up, man?
Welcome to the table.
Hello. Excited to be here.
Claps all around. You guys are here to talk about New Light, something that I think a lot of people have wanted for the game, even though they maybe will not be engaging with it themselves, just like a lot of veteran players. Obviously, we already play the game, but everyone for a while has thought, man, they should really make Destiny 2 available for free for a lot of people, because you've done it in the past, right? You've done 3 weeks on Blizzard, and then like, for a month if you have PlayStation Plus, and then maybe there was something, I don't even know if there was anything with Xbox. So what exactly am I getting access to with New Light, and when do I get access to it, I guess?
Yeah, this is really exciting.
Just spill it all out for me.
Yeah. So for New Light, it's a new entry point for Destiny, right? So what that means is that it's tailored towards new players, but all players can experience it. So if you make a new character, and if you're a veteran player, you'll experience the New Light flow. And it's exciting because it's not a trial, right? It's not an expansion. It's not a different part of the game. It is the game. It's Destiny, and it's free, which is
very good.
Yeah, which
very,
is super
very good.
exciting. Yeah, exactly.
And as Raylene said, it's the whole game, right? So it's not just some subsection portion of it. It's the full breadth of content that you get as Destiny players. So you get access to strikes, you get access to all destinations, you get to free roam, you get to look for lost sectors, you get to play all that content that's been out there in the world that you've been playing a ton of, right?
Right.
For free, which is really cool for us. I think that's a really exciting change.
Yeah.
And we're happy to have people actually get to experience that content who never have before.
Absolutely. I was watching Twitch chat during the Vidoc, and when that came up, I saw a lot of, is this Destiny 1 remastered and blah, blah, blah. Can you just clarify that it is or is not a complete remaster of Destiny 1?
No,
it is not a remaster.
It is not a remaster.
It is not a remaster.
No.
It is like the first mission is, I guess, remastered.
Yeah.
Right. So you do the first mission like you were playing Destiny 1, and then you're just flown right to the tower. You land, and then I can go do stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So like, how do I? You said you would unlock things over time, essentially. How, like, let's say I'm brand new, download New Light, do the first mission, land in the tower. I want to go to Mars. What do I got to do to go to Mars?
Yeah. So one of our biggest goals is to remove barriers, kind of what you're mentioning, so that you can play together with your friends, and you can do that within the first like 20 minutes. So once you land in the tower, as you're saying, the first, I guess maybe I'll dive back a little bit for the Cosmodrome mission. It's about 15 minutes or so, and you'll learn the basic, elements of Destiny, how to shoot your gun and that kind of thing. But once you get into the tower, you can start playing strikes. You can start playing Crucible. You can start playing Gambit. And for the destinations, we have a system that we're building that will unlock destinations over time, but it's not going to be very, very long. Right? One of our goals there is so that the world doesn't feel so overwhelming. Right? So we're not trying to like lock content. We're trying to make it ease players into our world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it could be very daunting just loading into the tower, bring up your map again. It's like, oh, there's 17 things here.
Yeah, exactly.
What do I do? Yeah.
So the thing you were talking about there, where how do you get to Mars, right? You start after you do the Cosmo mission, you go to tower, and you have access to EDZ. You play that for a little bit. We haven't tuned exactly how long you'll play, but it's probably not very long. And then you'll start, as you complete bounties and other activities, you'll quickly unlock other destinations. So you'll probably be in Mars in like a couple hours.
Okay. Yeah. So what kind of stuff am I getting with New Light? Like, can I go play the original Destiny 2 campaign?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I play Curse of Osiris?
Yes.
Yes.
Warmind?
Yes. Easy. It's an easy question.
So, okay. So go. Yeah.
Yeah. You can play all those campaign content if you want to. For us, we're making it optional, right? So back to the barriers kind of thing. We want, if you choose to play with your friends right away, right? And if you want to go experience the campaigns of the past, you can go ahead and play that as well, right?
Okay. Yeah. Even like Leviathan?
Leviathan Raid, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Leviathan. Okay. What about Forsaken then? Can I go to like Dreaming City and Tangled Shore? Like, what's the limits on Forsaken?
So that's a little bit different. As far as Tangled Shore and Dreaming City, you can go there. We actually want you to be able to explore all destinations. So we mentioned that you'll unlock destinations over time. You'll see that Dreaming City, Tangled Shore, and actually the Moon as well.
Oh wow! Okay.
Shadowkeep, and you'll see all the destinations. You'll be able to play all that stuff. And what will happen is we're giving you all of that access. But then if you wanted to, like say you play Shadowkeep and you really liked the raid content, you really enjoyed the way that feels with your friends, or you really like story missions, if you want to go back and play the Forsaken story campaign or any of the Forsaken raids, like Last Wish or the dungeons in Forsaken as well, then the Forsaken package is available to buy, and that's a separate thing.
Okay.
But all the destinations are available to you at all times.
So basically, if I want to go play like the meaty stuff of Forsaken, like the raids, the dungeon, the campaign,
exotic
quests, things like that, things that are the beefy stuff, I would need to go buy Forsaken. but I don't need Forsaken to go play Shadowkeep.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys would like to add? Because I feel like we covered basically everything that I needed to cover.
It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about because as a new light player, you get so much content.
Yeah,
free.
it's a lot.
Yeah, on destinations you think about, there's also like public events, and then there's adventures. We have some like Blind Well, content that that is public and brings people together, and it's just really exciting to have new players come try out all this stuff because there are so many kind of barriers before to be able to just jump right in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of current players have been hoping for Destiny 2 to go free in some way for a while. Like what you guys did at BlizzCon was fantastic. I saw tons of new people, like little level 3s and level 4s running around DBZ when I'm trying to go do stuff, and that was fun to see as a veteran player, just seeing like a huge new wave of people come in. And when New Light comes out, I'm hoping to see that again. And just knowing how much stuff they get access to as well is pretty.
Me too. My friends,
inspiring.
like anecdotally, like, oh, I want to play, Destiny, but what do I have to do to catch up to you? So.
Oh, one more question. What level do I start at? So, sorry, let me clarify.
Yeah.
You have your character level, and then you have power level.
Correct. Yeah.
What character level do I start at? What power level do I start at?
Yeah. So right now we're tuning this back and forth, so it could change, but it's 750, right? But
power level 750.
Yes.
That's when you start at. So basically the cap
as of today. Yeah.
Okay. As of right now.
Totally. Yeah. But our goal is that so that you can jump right in and play the most current content.
Yes.
Right. That is the main goal there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's sort of related to the boost that people can do for the beginning of the season, which I thought was also a very good idea. Helps people get right into it.
Yeah.
It's all platforms?
All
platforms?
All platforms.
Perfect. If you guys have nothing else to add, I think that'll do it.
Sweet, man.
Sweet.
All right.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you very much for joining me.
Talking to you.
Thank you.
And we have our last guest here.
All right.
Hey, bud.
All right.
I got some zingers for you. All right. I got some hardball ones.
We can get to this. I want to talk to you for a few minutes.
Okay.
First. You've had a pretty eventful week, dude.
Eventful is one way to put it. Yeah.
So first, I know I want to talk to you a little bit about the raid, but I want to talk to you about the weekend before.
Okay.
Because so you're battling throat infection. This was like the raid was like your flu game, your Michael Jordan flu game.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Be Bold. Congrats on the world first. Carolina Gainer. What's up, man? Esoteric.
So walk me through it. I've watched it. I was actually in your channel watching as it all went down. Like, just give me a little bit of like, you've had a couple days to process it now. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy where we placed. We found out that it was actually the closest between first and second in the history of Destiny. And I'm very happy with where we placed and everything. But man, like, you got all these silvers and bronzes, and it's like, yeah, but a gold one would be nice. Yeah. One day to put on the mantle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll try next time. I think we got a really solid squad.
You'll have another chance this fall.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's get some hardball questions. Why did you decide to partner with Google Stadia? Because I assume the relationship's a little different compared to Activision, but I think many assumed that after you guys got away from Activision, you'd really go on your own. Is Stadia going to have a significant impact on development of the game? Anything like that?
There's a couple types of development. There's the first thing, why Google? Like, it's that vision that I laid out at the top with Mark. The awesome action MMO, single evolving world that you can play anywhere, and Stadia is a step in delivering the play it anywhere step. The next thing about impacting development, creatively, it's not going to change our creative. Like, from the beginning, we've tried to make Destiny a game where it's like one executable. Like, we're not making exclusives anymore going forward.
Yeah.
But development-wise, there's an impact because we've taken a bunch of our talented engineering team to like stand up Stadia this year. So like, there's always trade-offs that you're making. Mm-hmm. But we think it's an awesome partnership.
All right. For the first time ever, you guys used the word MMO to describe Destiny.
And is it really the first time?
The first time that I can remember.
Publicly?
Yeah, at least publicly. Because I can remember dating back to an interview that Adam Sessler did with Destiny, and he said like they very actively avoided the word MMO.
Yeah.
And so I was very surprised to hear that. MMO to a lot of people is scary. You know, it's a lot of grinding, management, education. Why the
We got some of those things in the game right now.
Yeah.
There's some grinding, some education, some management.
There's definitely some, but why the change, and what are you doing to make sure that Destiny still keeps its identity while also expanding upon the systems that MMO or RPG players have come to want? You know, Johnny Two Sticks is like, I just want to shoot aliens, like miss me with the spreadsheets, right? So
yeah, so we're going to preserve like the core action game for Destiny, like the Johnny or Jane Two Sticks comparison you're using. Like, we're always going to be an awesome kinetic action game. Like, this is one of the things that's just like cultural here. Like, we have an awesome sandbox team. We've had an amazing group of folks who have built a rad action game. For us, the MMO language isn't about some of the baggage that comes with it. It's not about the like subscription side of things. It's really more about how does it point the way to where we need to go, which is that deeper character customization, a phrase that we've used here a fair bit over the last years. We want to get more depth on the character sheet. Like when we look at the character sheet, even post the Forsaken changes, the character sheet still just doesn't have enough depth on it. And at different points in the franchise's history, like we're coming up on year 6, it had more. Like when people were chasing, tier 12 or whatever and taking King in Rise of Iron time frame, and those are the types of things that we want to start with and bring back. But we think the future over the long horizon is much brighter than just that.
Yeah.
And so then the next part of it is really the social fabric, and we haven't built the right things yet for the social fabric for the game, and we want to make it easier for players to play together, get into activities. There are all kinds of checks that I could like sit here and write that we haven't committed to yet, but improving the social game is a check that we're gonna fix over time. And I just want to like remind folks that when we talk about things like vision, we're not necessarily just talking about like, and all of this is coming this fall.
Right.
We're really trying to, now that we can have that like open dialogue with here's where Destiny's going over time. Like here's where we're going on the long arc of the Destiny franchise.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the long arc of the Destiny franchise, are we going somewhere with this story? Because we started it already in like a very obscure, like, what did we just do in the Black Garden? Like, what? Okay. And then like, okay, now the Oryx storyline, and then the Riven storyline, and then this storyline, and then this one, and we have 18 different branches that all seem like they're doing their own thing. It seems like we're just living in the world of Destiny and maybe not experiencing like an overall story. Like, is this all getting tied together?
It feels a bit too much like life rather than an arc.
It's like, where are we going?
So we've talked about this a bunch internally. Like we have over the years had kind of like different monster of the weeks is how we described it. Dark Below to Dark Below Crota, Oryx. That was all just like a monster of the week story. What we're doing this fall with Shadowkeep is, we did put some arrows into flight at the end of Destiny 2. And Shadowkeep is the next chapter in that like broader universe story. Like we are going to be, peeling back some of these layers over time. The thing that we're trying to make sure we do, and we haven't always done our best work with this, is feel like the universe is going somewhere. Like people want to feel like what they're doing matters, and that it's heading toward, I don't want to say a resolution or an ending, because I don't think Destiny's heading toward an ending, but heading somewhere where there's going to be change.
Right, yeah. Just somewhere where we feel like, oh, okay, this is where that's all going down. This used to be on my list. It is removed, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Trials? Question mark?
So the thing we talked about up front is, I'm glad you asked. I think that if you didn't ask about trials, that would have been bad for us. And really bad for you, because if you don't ask the questions that your community wants to know.
Because PvP for the last year has been, here's a new comp weapon that's just been easier to get, and comp is pretty bare bones, and PvP has been, or has felt neglected over the past year, and I gotta ask about trials.
Yeah, so what we're doing in Season 8 is we are looking at the playlist structure, and we're gonna make changes to the playlist structure, and we're gonna talk about a bunch of that later this summer. The like crappy metaphor for the way I'm thinking about this is, we have like some additions we want to make to the house, but first we've got to like look at the house and repair the foundation, and we've got like work to do and maintenance to do, and we have to do more upkeep than we've been doing for sure. I think that a bunch of when I watched the raid this week, I saw the comp weapons getting a lot of play. So they are certainly motivating acquisition, and they're delivering a power fantasy. I think those things have been pretty cool. And I know that, I know people love Trials. I certainly love Trials. There was a debate as to whether or not I should wear one of my, now defunct Lighthouse Tours shirts from my friends over at Lab. And I think it's the type of thing that we love it. Like what we're trying to do with Destiny, and this is gonna tie in. Maybe if you decide to ask another question about the moon, what we're trying to do with Destiny going forward, like the total plan, aside from the vision, is we want it to be the ultimate version of the game over time, and that's kind of where we're heading.
Okay, but when is it coming out?
Got work to do. We got to repair the foundation.
Let it be known that I tried. Yeah. Okay.
Valiant.
All right. For that, I'm giving you. This is a hardball question, but I'm gonna role play. Okay. You're gonna be Luke, and I'm gonna be mad on the internet. TM.
All right.
How are you gonna respond to people in Twitch chat who are gonna say?
You still seem like Dado right now, though.
I know.
Character.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm always mad. You guys are reusing old assets to refresh the game under a major expansion. We already been to the moon. Forsaken had Dreaming City. And started. Dreaming City was crazy, and they had the Scorn, and then Taken King had the Taken, and we went to the Dreadnought, and now we're going back to the moon, and we're fighting Hive. Like, what do you say to those people? Recycled content, by the way. So what do you say to them?
I know that you talked to Ben and Catherine earlier, and that I don't remember if they exactly talked about when we take something like a planet and bring it back like the moon, we're going to update it to the latest context and change the world. And there's a bunch of cool Easter eggs and stuff and Out of the Shadows for people. But the other thing that I want to address here with your question is how does something like bringing a destination back fit into the overall vision for Destiny going forward, where we have made all kinds of awesome stuff in our history, and we have this opportunity as we continue to grow this content war chest to update these things, bring them back in new ways. It's not coincidence that we've ended different things with references to things that we've done before, or some note that I wrote and signed off with had a reference to a classic raid. We really are looking at the backlog that we're building and thinking about what the future of Destiny looks like and how we're going to be able to leverage that backlog going forward. And the moon is kind of us dipping our toes in the water to see how it feels, and it's also us taking an awesome stab at what does it mean to take a place that we've been to before and update it into a new context. And it was the origin of this actually. A bunch of the origin of this came from some of our super talented artists here who they're playing around with the lighting engine for D2, and they relit the moon, and they just sent a couple screenshots over to Mike, Zach, and I, and we were like, holy shit, this looks awesome. This looks awesome, and we just get excited about that stuff. We see it, and then the team gets their hands on it, and they get excited about it, and then there's this. It's like a Katamari ball of excitement, because the moon's a place that it's a thing haunting us in the sky. You'd look up at night and you see it, and the opportunity of Destiny to go back to a place that's that nearby unknown and see how it's changed over the last few years. We think it's going to be awesome.
All right. I got one more question. I assume you're going to be asked this at E3 anyway, so I'm just going to ask it anyway. Destiny 3, what are we doing? Because I think some people are surprised that Destiny 3 is not coming this time around. Are we going to keep Destiny 2 and just keep stacking on expansions? Do you want to make a Destiny 3? Is there anything on the horizon? Anything? Because I'm sure that's super far out, and you can't say much, but if you got anything.
It's anything that we're going to do beyond what we're talking about today is super far out. And right now, we've really recommitted the team to Destiny 2, the next chapter of it's this fall. We've got plans for where we're going to go with Destiny, and there's a bunch of stuff that we talked about here that we've got to deliver on. Mm-hmm. And a thing that I will say about the future of Destiny is that vision that we outlined is going to be true no matter what we do. We are making an awesome action MMO in a single evolving world that you can play anywhere, and that's what we're going to be doing. Are you? Did we exhaust your list?
I think I got one or two more, but I don't think we have time to cover them.
Yeah, the clock is at 0 and beeping.
Yeah, it's angry at me.
And so, before we go, there's one last thing I want to talk about, which is, behind us is an amazing team here. And we only got to look at a few members of the team today and a few members in the Vidocs, but the Bungie team is so much bigger than just the 11 people or so here at the company. They are, who showed up. They're doing an amazing job. they're doing an amazing job, and you know they're working so hard, and everyone here loves the game, and we're trying to make the best game that we can. And so I just want to make sure that we acknowledge the team real quick. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it with us. I want to thank Dado coming in. No wounds to
No problem.
lick. It's okay with second place.
Yeah.
Before we go, we're going to take one last look at the trailer for Shadowkeep.
Looking to the future always brings us back to the past. Can you feel them? I can still hear their voices. Their endless torment reshapes our moon. Nightmares now stalk the surface. Walking shadows, seeking vengeance. Our old fears, they rise again. And in the dark below, something wicked has awakened. We must bring an end to this suffering. One way